Hi, my name is Sara Brandon. I'm the owner of Sara Brandon Designs. We love to work with both vintage homes and contemporary, and do so often. The design ethos here is really grounded in earthy designs that are also modern and clean. This home is special because it's my own home, so I was finally able to design something for myself from scratch, from the beginning to the end. So we are in the kitchen, and the kitchen flows into the living room in this space. Because we have such a modern space, I used a lot of natural elements and textures, which I love, as well as vintage, which is a little bit of a book hoard situation over here. But I do have a lot of books, but I think as well as the books, we have a lot of vintage pieces like this one, which accent the home and help it feel a little warmer. So the two rooms are connected. Some people like the rooms to be separate. In this case, I think that the light and the paint colors that we chose, really, it helps to connect the two rooms, but not feel like they're right on top of each other. When it came to picking out window treatments, it was extremely important to preserve the natural surrounding and the light that was coming in, and how that kind of, really that light, it pulls the whole house together. It creates the happy vibe that we have here. It creates the warmth. So we could not have window fixtures that cluttered, that took that away. They needed to be able to come down in the night and kind of keep things private. It's there, it's functional, but it is not taking away from the windows, which we very thoughtfully designed in this home. For the living room space, it was really important to be able to have privacy, but I did not want to see the curtains and the treatments, especially during the day, which is why we chose 2pages, because one, we get texture in the color, but it's a very subtle texture. And two, when they go completely up, the struggle of just sort of cluttering the windows is not the case here. So what you'll notice with these blinds is that the size of our windows vary quite a bit, and they're also very large. So a lot of the companies do not offer this size, and they definitely do not offer this size in any of those price points. So for those people dealing with modern houses, I can't stress how much of a lifesaver this was, because if you see now the view, it's a gorgeous view. It was what I built the house around, because the design ethos is really a little bit of a Japandi, Scandi, but also, you know, studying those designs in mid-century, but also how to bring nature inside. And since that's the core of this entire house, probably from the courtyard to some of the natural finishes that we chose, we could not have window treatments that sort of destroyed that flow. I loved 2page, and we chose 2pages honestly because of the options in terms of the different materials. With the sizes of the windows that we had, it was a challenge to find a company that offered, number one, the sizes, and number two, some of the options for texture and color. They were great, and we worked together to create things like this, because you'll notice the window sizes are very reminiscent of mid-century design as well, which you need something custom. All right, let's take a look inside the bedroom. You'll notice again, we have a lot of windows. We wanted them to get the sun and really capture that warmth during the winter, which is great. But I also wanted sort of a neutral feeling, but also I have a lot of vintage. So I wanted a curtain that was going to be textural, but not overwhelming. So we went with the wool option from 2pages because it's very simple, but it also has a lot of texture, which I love. The color was perfect. They have tons of options, and you'll see I went with lime wash paint. So I wanted a curtain that didn't compete with it, but added just its own little touch. So I want to point out this dresser, and the reason I say this is because it shows how design can be versatile, but also doesn't have to be expensive. This dresser I pulled up to the dump, what we call the transfer station in the Northeast, and they were literally seconds from dumping it into the dumpster, and I was like, no, because it's early sort of American pine, and it has a lot of character, and I've schlepped it around and carried it around quite a bit, and it always adds that warmth. And you'll notice with everything going on in this modern house, something like this is so key to give it sort of soul and to ground it. I want to show you the bathroom because it was really important with the lifestyle that I have. Something that's quiet, something that's calmer. So I carried the lime wash paint throughout. This is something that frankly, I work with tile a lot and I was a little bit tired of it. Although we have it in other spaces in the house, this is the only space that carries the concreta and lime wash into the bathtub. For that, we used a curtain, which it adds that element, I think, of texture again that I keep talking about, which allows for interest, but it's also very sort of quiet and calm design. Someone had brought this whole piece of marble from the city years ago, and the designer retired and had never used it. And so I purchased it from him and literally carried it to a couple different houses before I kept it and used it for myself. So this is all antique marble, and it's throughout this whole room. It gives it a lot of character, but it's also simple. This is my office. This is where I do a lot of my work. I work both on site and in my home. And so I did choose the largest window for myself, and I did plop my desk right in front of it, which I have been enjoying quite a bit. I also surrounded myself a little bit with some of the finds from different sales and things I've collected over the years. I have these images, which are actually postcards from Yves Saint Laurent. He would send these to his editors at magazines, his best clients. And these are vintage and they are original. And I mixed them with some other things I found, art and old posters. Museum posters could be great. Vintage museum posters I recommend because they can fill a space, they look authentic. But if we can't afford a Picasso, it gives it a little bit of style without breaking the bank. This is my guest bathroom, and I've done double duty here because I have a Jack and Jill, which has the two doorways, allowing us to use it in both spaces for both bedrooms. This has a huge window, which was questioned by some of my guests until they saw it. And now that they've seen it, they love it. They love the light. What it does is it kind of freaks you out a little bit that you have a giant window in your bathroom. But we were able to find, with TWOPAGES, this great option of the longer blind that covers this window when needed. This we used rustic wood, which actually came from a delivery we had, and it is pine and not treated, so I had them cut it up and put it all wavy and crazy on the wall to give it character. For this shower, I wanted it to still remain earthy. I wanted it to be textured. I wanted it to feel warm. So I did not go with glass. I know a lot of designers are using curtains for their showers. In this particular case, it really, really fit because we had the option of this color, which, I mean, it's great. It's slightly lighter, but it gives us texture without being busy. The wooden shower rod also plays into that whole earthy theme, and I think it looks great with this shower curtain, to be honest. Just want to like touch it. If we go into the guest bedroom through the Jack and Jill, I kept a simple vibe throughout the house, but really through this area, I did a little bit more Bohemian, a lot of fun, a lot of things from my travels. I was an anthropologist as well, so I have rugs, and this is where they all came together. So I had a lot of fun in the guest bedroom because we're not here all the time, obviously, sleeping in this bedroom. So I used a lot of pattern, I used a lot of textiles. We have vintage textiles here. This door I found at an estate sale. I believe it's Indian. We mounted it and it was a challenge, but I was obsessed with it, and you can see how fun it is and how much sort of life it gives the bedroom. I wanted to do closet doors originally like everyone does, and then I really started thinking about this room and how many textiles I had. Once I did the bathroom, decided that these were a lot of fun and a lot more fun than a closet door. So we used the curtains as our closet, and it also goes again with that more bohemian, lighthearted, earthy feel of not being too fussy. I did not want blinds at first for the guest bedroom at all, but then I realized people actually sleep here. So this was a great alternative to keep it that same texture that I wanted, that same style, to giving them some peace. This is the laundry room. It does double duty. We have the wash area, we have the washer dryer, and we have storage. On top of all of that, we bought a wood vanity, which at first I was okay with, but then I realized it was really boring. So I took the doors off, and you can do this yourself, and it's a really quick, kind of easy way to add personality. And we added curtains. We chose the chocolate color from TWOPAGES, which I loved when I saw in person when it arrived. In the end, we wanted this home to feel warm, but we also wanted that modern, clean space because we have so many vintage items and things that we love, like art. And so because we have such a neutral palette, I think, we are able to really showcase those items. Thanks for joining us at our home. As you can see, we have a lot going on, but it was a pleasure to show you what we did with the window treatments and how we made this house a home.